What's going on? My name is Steve with my co-host Ryan back on the Climb the Pocket YouTube page. Today we are doing a mock draft. Always love those. It's going to be a half PPR league, 12 teams. I'm going to be going from the 6 spot. Ryan's going to be from the 5 spot. So we're going to be back to back, sniping each other all draft long. Before we get into the video, if you enjoyed today's content, we would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and like that video. Most important part, appreciate that like and drop a comment below on whose mock draft you like the best. Ryan, what's going on, man?
I feel like it was a real long week, Steve. I feel like I haven't talked to you in more than a week. I know we do this at the same time on Tuesdays. It's Wednesdays for the viewers, but it's been a while since I've talked to you, and I'm glad we're doing another mock draft because these are the type of videos that I get to overthink during instead of overthink before the videos. Like the rankings, I'm always overthinking on where I'm ranking my players. You get to watch me overthink on the fly, which is I'd assume better content than me overthinking throughout the entire day leading up to the video. So I'm ready to get dialed in. I'm hoping I at least get some type of stud running back at the 5 spot, but I'll probably get sniped. So.
Yeah, these mock drafts are important throughout the summer. I think they're important to do. It's an exercise to help you gauge the ADP, where players are trending. Some are trending up, some are trending down. You'll see the reflections of common news that comes out in the NFL world, and it reflects directly in fantasy football drafts. So we will see how that goes. Ryan's going to break down his picks. I'll break down my picks, and hopefully he doesn't snipe me too much. So let's go ahead and get into the draft. Go ahead and start this thing off. Number one off the board, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley. Nothing too out of the norm. I do think Dalvin Cook would go in there. I think Ryan will scoop with open arms.
So here I'm picking at 5. On our previous mock draft video, I talked about how I'm cool with Dalvin Cook at 2, right? Especially in a half point PPR, he feels safest, and he hasn't really been hurt the last couple of years. He's shown that he is the offense in Minnesota, and I think that they're going to commit another great year to Dalvin Cook. If Dalvin Cook falls to me at 5 in all of my drafts, I'm going to be thrilled. So that's a slam dunk.
It's a slam dunk, and I think the 6th pick is one of the harder picks in this year's draft, just because it's the big 5 are off the board, and arguably, I think Saquon Barkley would be my 5, just because hearing sort of weird talks out of the coaches about him not getting eased in early in the season. Don't like to hear that from your stud running back. We know what he can do coming off an injury. Just a few question marks, but definitely a top 5 guy. But I think right there at 5, and then after that, you get guys like Adams, who has question marks, Nick Chubb, who doesn't get the receiving work, and this is a half PPR league, but he's definitely one of the better runners in the league. And then a guy like Jonathan Taylor, potential full season breakout. I won't say breakout because he kind of broke out at the end of last season, but if he can put it together for a full season, he'll definitely be a breakout for the season. And that's probably who I'm going to go with. I like the upside for him. I like that Colts offensive line. I like Carson Wentz coming to town, and I like some of the receiving weapons there. I think they can be a pretty good team this year. I think Jonathan Taylor's going to be a staple of that offense. So I'm going to scoop him up and have fun with it. I like Jonathan Taylor as my number 1 guy. Adams goes right after me, then Elliott, Chubb, Tyreek Hill, Hopkins, A.J. Brown in the first round. That's pretty it's a pretty good reach. But hey, Team 12 likes A.J. Brown. He goes with Kelsey, another great pass catcher. Aaron Jones, Diggs, Metcalf, Jefferson, Akers. So a lot of the big pass catchers off the board. Calvin Ridley's still there. Definitely considering him there if I want to go for a wide receiver. I'm just kind of looking at these running backs that are left. The top available running backs, Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon, Antonio Gibson. I think those are the last 3 that I really feel comfortable with being a workhorse on my team. And for me, I'm going to go a guy in Austin Eckler on the Los Angeles Chargers. I think he's going to get a ton of receptions this year. Justin Herbert's going to continue to lean on him. When we saw Austin Eckler when he was healthy last year, he was the workhorse in that backfield, and he had a couple games where he had over 10 catches. And that's the kind of upside I like in my team. So I'm going to anchor my team with Johnny Taylor and Austin Eckler. Let's go. I just made that up.
Austin Eckler,
Just,
big fan of
I
that.
didn't
But
save any time in that nickname. It's just replaced a letter. All
it's not your best nickname to date, but it's gonna get workshopped a little bit.
right.
No, it's not getting workshopped. That'd be Calvin Ridley in his he's coming into his prime years since all of a sudden he's 26 and he's the number 1 and he led the Falcons in red zone targets last year and Julio Jones is gone. So I forget how many targets Julio had. It was like 150, I'm pretty sure. Somewhere in there. Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember how many targets
He missed
Julio
a few
Jones had.
games.
Listen, moral of the story is Calvin Ridley is the de facto, for sure, number one. Uh, and I like Kyle Pitts going to Atlanta, but he's not going to put up bigger numbers than Julio did last year. So I'm really comfortable with Calvin Ridley at this spot. I think I have him as my wide receiver four. I believe that's where he is. I don't listen. I've talked about liking Joe Mixon. I like Joe Mixon in the third. I don't really like him in the second. I, I think that his ADP is a little too sweet for my liking. Antonio Gibson with the turf toe, kind of concerning. And then it kind of gets into guys that, and take it or leave. I mean, I like Kittle, but I don't want to take a tight end when I don't feel like I really have to because there's a bunch of guys like 5 through 8 that will eventually get you points. So, I mean, I'm going with Calvin Ridley here.
Yeah, definitely a slam dunk pick. He was my pick if I wasn't going with Eckler. After you goes Mixon, Gibson, so those two running backs you discussed. Michael Thomas, George Kittle at the 12, Mahomes, Robinson, J.K. Dobbins, Keenan Allen, and you were back up.
I am back up, and I like what Team One's doing. So, Team One, uh, they've got possibly the best player at quarterback, tight end, and running back now. So that's a very interesting team. Sometimes works in fantasy, sometimes doesn't, depending on just who you're taking. And now it leaves me in a weird situation where I feel like these guys are a bunch of in between guys. Um, I don't love Deandre Swift this year. I've touched on it before. I really do think Jamal Williams is going to have more of a role in that offense than most people expect. I don't like Clyde Edwards-Helaire either, and I don't like Miles Sanders all that much. It's going to be interesting to see just how all those running backs look this year. I mean, they're all going to be. I mean, the first two guys are going to be second year guys, and then Miles Sanders is in his third year. You'd like to see Sanders take the leap, but I don't really think he's going to. I just they've added too many guys in that offense that might take, I guess, passing work from him and carries. Like I like on Johnson a little bit. I don't know if he's even going to make it out of camp with the Eagles, but I don't know. I just don't feel good that they've added guys, and he's a carryover guy from the last regime. So that leads me to Terry McLaurin. He's going to have to be one of those guys he's got to be good when Ryan Fitzpatrick is good because you can't have Ryan Fitzpatrick have big weeks and have Terry McLaurin not have big weeks. So if Terry's hooking up with Fitzmagic, I think he's got top 10 wide receiver potential. There's going to be some weeks where you want to kill Ryan Fitzpatrick if Terry McLaurin's on your team. It's just the name of the game with the Fitzmagic. But the games where he's good, I mean, Terry McLaurin could just straight up win you weeks.
Yeah. All right. On to my pick. DeAndre Swift's still there. I'm in the same boat as you. I'm starting to feel a little less comfortable every day, and we've discussed that in the past. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. A lot of people are kind of big on this offseason as a second-year guy. He's another guy. Just don't know what his total ceiling is in that offense with Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if it's the same. Since Patrick Mahomes is there, it's not the same idea with the Andy Reid offense, and you got to own that running back. It's a pass-first offense, and Clyde can definitely get it done in the pass game, but they're going to pass a lot more than they are running and dumping off to the running back. So I don't know if I'm ready to take him there. I do have Austin Eckler, who's already a pass-catching running back, so I'm not really going after Clyde for that reason. Najee Harris is there. I'm considering guys Mike Evans, Chris Carson. I'm actually going to take, it's kind of different for me. I'm not usually a tight end early guy, but Darren Waller here in the middle of the third round, kind of appealing to me. I like him as a high volume pass catcher for my team in this semi PPR league. And I'm going to see what happens if I go Darren Waller here. I feel like mid third round is pretty much where he's going and probably will end up going. Some drafts or home drafts are a little more tight end loving, and he'll probably go in round 2, which is much too early for me. But I'm going to go see what happens if I take him in round 3 here in Darren Waller. See what kind of wide receivers I can get on the way back. Quite a little running back run here with Najee Harris, Sanders, Swift, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chris Carson, Myles Gaskin, and a bunch of those wide receivers I thought would make it back to me. So that's going to be interesting. But a guy I do like here that was, I believe, the wide receiver 1 over the first couple weeks of the season for the Dallas Cowboys with a healthy Dak Prescott back, Amari Cooper. I feel like he's the last guy in this range that can really be a wide receiver one firmly. I don't really see anyone else here that has as good of a chance in my mind to be a top 12 or a top 10 wide receiver than Amari Cooper if he plays all season long, has a healthy season, keeps that going what he had with Dak Prescott last season. So I'm going to scoop up Amari Cooper as my wide receiver one, and I'm liking the way my team's looking right now. Pretty excited.
Well, Steve, because you had two running backs, you got to give me the number one guy from our podcast.
Yep.
We're a pro David Montgomery podcast here, Steve.
I haven't always been, but I've grown into your way. You have always been a staple of Dave Montgomery, but
listen,
I'm on the board.
I've always been riding for D-Mont. The depth chart is fine. Like Tariq Cohen, he does absolutely nothing for me. Tariq Cohen isn't going to take too much from D-Mont. I understand the passing work maybe a little bit, but he finished his RB4 last year, and I'm getting him in the fourth round. Honestly, I feel like that's his ADP is 38.5 right now. That's kind of insulting. I get it, but I don't think there's a reason that he should be behind J.K. Dobbins and Harris, and Deandre Swift. Like some of these guys, haven't done enough to me to warrant them getting drafted over David Montgomery, who had a great season last year and was a fantasy MVP. So I get to ride with Dalvin Cook and David Montgomery with Ridley and McLaurin. So I'm pretty thrilled where my team is right now.
I definitely like him better than like Gaskin and Swift and Sanders, really. And he's right there with like Clyde and Najee Harris to me, right around there. And you kind of pick your favorite out of those three, I think.
Like Josh Jacobs just got picked. He's fine and like he should be in this general area. But then like Melvin Gordon gets taken and people are down on Melvin Gordon this year, and I don't think David Montgomery deserves to be in the same breath as Melvin Gordon.
I couldn't take Melvin Gordon that close to David Montgomery. They aren't that close. So.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of brutal.
Yeah.
But now there was a definitive running back tier break, right? Because now the best guy available is Kareem Hunt. Then it goes Chase Edmonds and ETN and Raheem Mostert. James Robinson is an interesting one to me, and to me, I'm not sure why James Robinson's ADP is below EDN's, but people have like preferences. Like rookie hype is frustrating, and you're gonna see those ADPs kind of even out as the season gets closer. Once you hear like, oh, James Robinson took 90% of the first team snaps with the offense, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, and I like EDN, like he's good. He's gonna get some wide receiver work too, and they're either gonna be creative with him. But James Robinson's he's a ball-toting running back, so like I don't know, I just doesn't sit right with me. But now there was a tier break at wide receiver and running back at the same time, and it's kind of frustrating. I like Tyler Lockett; he's the best wide receiver available. He's frustrating, like he puts up 50 points in a week and then he's gone for 4 weeks. I don't know what to do with Tyler Lockett. Then you get into Ayuk, who's good. Not sure what the quarterback situation is going to be there. Odell, who I'm not going to get burned by. T. Higgins, Cortland Sutton. This is kind of brutal, Steve. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm now fully in overthinking mode.
You might want to pivot.
Dude, I want to pivot so bad, but I put out too many tweets about not liking Chase Edmonds even a little bit to draft Chase Edmonds. Oh, man, you know what?
You're tilting.
I'm going to go wide receiver, I think. Maybe. Possibly. I'm going wide receiver, and I'm hoping that the cream rises to the top in Pittsburgh. And I'm taking Chase Claypool.
Ooh, I like it.
He's the best wide receiver in Pittsburgh. He can do the most out of all of those guys. He can play short. He can play long. Like I really think if he was on any team, he would be able to be in any offense in the NFL. Where the other guys, I feel like it's kind of niche for them in Pittsburgh. So I think Claypool is the play this year.
All right, I'm up on the board. I have a wide receiver and two running backs with the tight end. Kind of got to picture my tight end as like a receiver for my team. And usually I'm not going to go quarterback early, and I still consider it early kind of a little bit for quarterback. if I took a tight end early. I don't want to lose that value at the skill positions. So I am considering Tyler Lockett. I know he's pretty boomer bust, as you mentioned. T. Higgins is interesting at the running backs. I think there's a pretty clear drop off after Kareem Hunt. I know you mentioned there was a tier break, but I'm not as excited about Chase Edmonds or ETN or Mostert or James Robinson. I hate saying that about James Robinson because he was so good last year and he's just getting the most disrespect out of everyone because they got ETN. But I don't see why he's not going to be a big part of that offense. But I'm going to go ahead and scoop up my third running back here in Kareem Hunt. That being it is a slight PPR league and a half PPR. We've seen in the past, last year specifically, he has his role on this team. They are going to use Kareem Hunt because he is a good football player and he does his job on that team. It's two running back set. Nick Chubb's a runner, Kareem Hunt's a runner and the pass catcher. So I like him on this Cleveland Browns team, who's still in the upswing in my mind, as far as them coming into their own and actually becoming better than they were last year. So I like Kareem Hunt here. We'll see what happens. I'll regret not taking a wide receiver. Tyler Lockett goes. Odell. It's looking good so far. Not a lot of wide receivers off the board. A couple of them, though, guys I was definitely considering, but I'm definitely going to have to go back to that wide receiver position, unless a quarterback I like has definitely dropped. But there was quite the quarterback run. All three of those guys, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson went. Those are the guys I would have considered, so I'm most definitely waiting now. And I'm going to have to move on to the wide receiver position, and I might be regretting what happened because I'm not too happy with what is left. I do like some guys a little later, like Curtis Samuel down here, Jarvis Landry, Robbie Anderson's there, reconnected with Sammy Darnold. Kind of interesting. But I'm going to have to take a risk on one of these wide receivers that are probably the wide receiver 2 on their team. They're probably wide receiver 3s in fantasy. And guys like Tyler Boyd, Juju, Debo. Oh, man, it is pretty rough. I do kind of wish I took one of those receivers there in Tyler Lockett and not Kareem Hunt. I think I'm going to have to just go with the slot guy in Cincy with Joe Burrow's healthy. I'm just going to go with Tyler Boyd. He's not getting as much respect as T. Higgins is. Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is on the board still here, but most drafts you're going to see him go before. Man, now that I see Jamar Chase, should he go before? Something I'm definitely considering. I'm having fun in this draft. It would definitely be like me in this draft to take Jamar Chase. I've never really taken him in redraft yet. It's the 6th round. It feels a little rich for me. I'm going to go with my first instinct in Tyler Boyd, that he's got a defined role in that team, and he's going to have a lot of targets. So I'm going to take Tyler Boyd.
So you leave me with somehow the draft all of a sudden just turns into mush. Like I feel like all these guys are they're just there. And I don't know, man. It gets into this weird, dicey situation where you're kind of hoping that you take a big swing and it hits, right? And to me, there's a guy that's still available that's a big swing, and if he hits, he's a league winner. And I'm taking Mike Davis here. I think if Mike Davis is the guy in Atlanta, which he very well should be and can be, he's 28, so he's 2 years older than the age 26 number, but he finished his RB12 last year.
I don't know if I like it.
I know, and I think that's kind of how everyone feels about Mike Davis. Like I think people are like, eh.
I don't not like him. I like what he did in Carolina in Christian McCaffrey's place last year. I just don't know how I feel about Atlanta in their running game. They haven't had anything going since Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman were there back in, what was that, 2016?
Yeah, I mean,
it's been pretty bad there. But I can see the volume is going to be, there's a volume play. There's a volume play, and
100%.
And then he also passed the audition last year in Carolina. So
listen, I'm taking a swing on a running back that people aren't sold on. One of his backup running backs is Cordero Patterson, similar to David Montgomery last year. I'm just trying to channel that type of energy from last year with DeMont into Mike Davis. I don't know if it's going to work, and I've got 2 Falcons on the team, which might not be tof great, but here I am back on the board. Looking at, I don't know, man. I think it gets to a point in this draft where you kind of just have to look at best player available. And it's getting dicey. And you kind of also have to see who is picking around you and what they need. And I don't know, man. I feel like this is might be the time for me to go QB. I think I'm gonna go with a quarterback here, and I want to take Jalen Hurts. I do. I
We
really
knew it.
do.
Everyone knew it. Anyone watching this video that's seen our videos, you know what Ryan's thinking.
I want to take him. I'm not going to. I gotta go with Herbert. I
Yeah,
gotta go.
I
I gotta
like
go
it.
with Justin Herbert.
Yep.
And I've been banging the drum for Herbert. His hair's back. He's got another year. He's the number one quarterback in camp. He doesn't have to deal with Tyrod Taylor anymore. I'm very excited for Herbert. And if he can build on what he did last year, I mean, there's no reason he shouldn't be a top five quarterback.
All right, so there's some good wide receivers still on the board that for some reason seem a lot better in the seventh round than they did in the
Yep.
sixth round.
Yeah.
Like Debo, Juju, Robbie Anderson, Jamar Chase is still there. I almost wish I took someone else and not Tyler Boyd so I could scoop Jamar Chase. I don't really want to lock myself in there with the draft capital I invested and go back to back Cincinnati Bengals wide receivers. But I'm going to go another guy I'm super high on this year in Curtis Samuel. I think he can be a pretty good gadget guy for the Washington football team. He's going to be the wide receiver too. We've seen him with Ron Rivera before get work out of the backfield. We saw him take that step last year in Carolina, although it wasn't for Ron Rivera. Maybe Ron Rivera was watching those games and said, we need to get that guy on our team. He's taken a leap in his career. I drafted this guy. He's turned into the guy that I saw he could be. So he scooped him up, got him on his team, and I think he's gonna be a big part of that offense with Ryan Fitzpatrick slinging him the ball. Think he's gonna break out this year. So I like Curtis Samuel a lot. So moving on to my next pick, don't really have a dire need anywhere. I'm pretty even. It's always good to be even in the drafts. 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers at this point. I do like to get 4 running backs by the time I get like to round 10. So I'm definitely considering running back. But looking what I have here, it's pretty ugly. Like it's definitely not pretty. I would say the best value I see here, and I'm dropping names, but I like Michael Carter just because like I feel like he out of all these guys, Michael Carter and anyone above him, Lindsey, Henderson, Sermon, like Darrell Henderson's in front of him. It doesn't really make sense to me. Philip Lindsay doesn't really make sense to me. Michael Carter is going to be the guy that gets the most volume for the Jets, and although it's the Jets, he's going to be the guy on that team. Devin Singletary, undraftable. He's off my board. He's always off my board. So I can't take him. So I'm probably going to go back to the wide receiver group and just stock up. Unless there's a quarterback that's glaring me in the eye. And there's not. I like some of these other quarterbacks that are just a little bit later. I know. I can't believe you're still thinking about it. Even though you took Herbert, you're thinking about taking Jalen Hurts here with your next pick. Like, that's what's going on. But I'm going to go ahead and take, man, I feel like I just got to take Chase. I feel like I have to. I can't do it, but I have to. But I can't.
Listen, I mean, if you don't, you'll probably get taken before you pick again. Not sure by who, but he'll probably get taken.
I'm just going to do it. At this point, I'm throwing darts. Like, these guys are definitely the foundation of my team. But one of these guys is going to, like, Tyler Boyd's going to be really good again. And he was good when Joe Burrow was throwing him the ball. Or Jamar Chase is going to be the best rookie we've seen in a while. We saw Justin Jefferson last year. But maybe up to that par, up to that speed. We'll see. But I'm taking Jamar Chase here. Very interesting draft strategy. I do not suggest it. But just letting you know. Taking both of them. If one of them hits with Joe Burrow healthy, I like it.
So now it's like a gross area because I know Team 2 over there is going to take a tight end. And I've already pigeonholed myself with Falcons. But right here, if you can draft Kyle Pitts, you should take Kyle Pitts. Like I can't currently draft Kyle Pitts because I look like the world's biggest idiot with 3 Falcons on my team. And then, but like out of all the tight ends available, it's Pitts and Logan Thomas and Robert Tonyan, who I think should fall to me at Team 5.
Don't go through this again, Ryan.
I know I've done this before and I've made this mistake, but there's no way somebody takes Robert Tonyan.
Why are you saying that? You shouldn't have said
because
that.
there's no way.
Just do it. Just do it.
I'm not. No,
I'm saying
do it.
just make your move so you can just
not
get this out of your.
I'm personally not gonna do that. I'm gonna take a wide receiver.
Okay.
And then be very upset when Robert Tonyan gets drafted, and I'm sad about it. But what's fantasy football without being a homer, you know? So I'm going with Devonta Smith here.
I like
because
that.
that's how fantasy football works, and you take your guys.
Okay. Well, maybe Pitts will make it back.
I don't want Pitts.
Because Guys, you can't make this up. Watch our last mock draft when Ryan was taking a tight end somewhere around like, actually, it was pretty deep. It might have been like 12 or
It was like
13.
right here.
Yeah, or maybe
It
right
was
here.
bad.
Very similar scenario. Go check that one out.
Wow. So I'm going to, I guess, draft the best available tight end here. And
You could pivot, dude. You never want to be at the end of a tier.
listen, for some odd reason, these guys like having two tight ends, and I couldn't even have three Falcons on my
He
team.
just drafted Fant. Like, and a
Who had
quarterback in
Fant,
between.
Hurts, Pitts? You
Wow.
kidding me?
I don't
I
know.
mean, that's just a slap in the face. The problem here is, Steve, I don't want to have to start Jared Cook or Anthony Firkser, right?
Yeah.
So,
There's guys down there. There is Blake Jarwin, Austin Hooper, Gronk, Evan Ingram. There's guys you can take a shot with if you just want to wait till later and stream the position.
I mean,
Just
yeah, I
letting you
feel
know,
like
talking you through.
I appreciate. You know what? There's no way that the guy that I'm looking at gets taken by the time it gets back to me. There's just no chance, right?
We'll
So,
we'll know if he does by your
oh,
reaction.
you'll know. You'll just see me disappear from this Skype call.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm gonna go with a. I got three wide receivers. No, three running backs, four wide receivers, and I guess this is where you start throwing darts and hoping that they hit a little bit. There's two guys that I like here specifically. I like Trey Sermon a lot, and I like Gus Edwards. I'm going to go with Sermon. I think the upside is higher if he breaks with the seven other running backs in that offense. If he becomes the guy, I think he has a great ceiling. The problem is he's got guys like Wayne Gallman ahead of him. Jeff Wilson's hurt. Raheem Mostert's there. Like, there's a lot of guys in San Fran, but he's going to get touches regardless. It just depends on how many he does.
San Francisco cannot not have three good running backs on their team at one time. They just can't do it. They didn't need Wayne Gallman. Not saying
No,
Gallman's good, but we've seen him do good in the NFL behind the Giants offensive line. I think San Francisco's better. Like,
100%.
yeah, so I don't understand that you just scoop him up like, yeah, we need him. It doesn't make sense. But I'm going to take another rookie and Michael Carter, a guy I talked about earlier. Back-to-back rookies here for Ryan and Steve. And then Marquise Brown, Chenault, Gesicki. Oh, lots of tight ends. And this reaction looks genuine. So Joe Burrow, Logan Thomas, Irv Smith, Corey Davis, Matt Stafford, Hines, Tannehill, Gus Edwards, and Devontae Parker. Just hold that. I'm up still. We're looking at wide receiver. We're looking at quarterbacks. Are there any quarterbacks here that we feel like we really need? We have really waited a long time. The last three quarterbacks that went off the board were guys I definitely would have wanted. I also would have liked Tom Brady back there in round 9. That would have been nice. At this point, I'm probably going to make a mistake like Ryan has at the tight end position and just wait and assume one of these guys that I like Matt Ryan or Kirk Cousins or Carson Wentz or one of those guys is going to make it back to me, and we'll be good. So we're going to go back to the wide receiver position, and we're going to draft a guy that's getting a lot of talk this offseason. Actually, I can't do that because I have Mark Cooper, but I do like Michael Gallup. I did go with the double bangle. Could that sounds like some sort of move in some sort of something. The double bangle. I'm going to go with Antonio Brown. Hate it, but I love it. Second year with Tom Brady. Maybe their connection's growing. We've seen him work well in the playoffs with Tom Brady in those big situations. That's big trust right there, man. That's Tom Brady trusting Antonio Brown. He's that third wide receiver on the team, but he can get a lot of action this year. I don't think he's going to have an insane amount of targets, but he's a big play guy still. Antonio Brown's still good, so let's go with AB.
Dude, I was going to take Logan Thomas.
Yeah. You were going to take him, huh?
I was going to.
He was pretty close on the overall players, like right at the top there.
I understand.
But if you're thinking about like teams and two tight ends, yeah, these mock drafts don't do that. They don't follow those rules.
I love the Dallas Goedert Logan Thomas pair. I'm glad Team 11 has those two guys because they're gonna guess wrong every single week on which tight end's gonna score more. So I don't feel bad at all. So that's for them. And now I'm stuck here with some ugly tight ends, right?
I'd be worried about Team 4. You have to take a tight end.
Dude, Team 4 might take a third tight end. I'm gonna jump off the roof. So it gives us the world's ugliest group of tight ends. We got Higbee. We got the New England Patriot tight ends. Evan Ingram, who just dropped another pass, and Rob Gronkowski. Yikes. Well, from those guys, I'm I'm going with Tyler Higbee.
All right.
I'm gonna fall for it again, right?
Hey, it's a
I'm
it's a
gonna
Tyler
Of
Higbee show right here. It's a Tyler Higbee channel.
course it's a Tyler Higbee show
I,
because
I
we
like to
love
think
Higbee.
he's seen one of our shows.
Dude, I mean the amount of times you put him like the SEO, like Higbee or whatever the thing is for YouTube to pick up the
Bold
names.
strategy, team two. Back to tight end, back to back quarterback, tight end. Love that. Love it.
Dude, oh no, team two. I was not the team gassing up, so that's fine. They're. I mean, that team's going winless. I mean, then I'm mad at team two. So here I am with two running backs on my bench and a wide receiver on my bench and a wide receiver in my flex. So I'm got the same amount of running backs and wide receivers. So it doesn't really matter here, just because OCD kicks in and I like doing that. You kind of go with best player available here, and you got Mike Williams, who's interesting. You got Jalen Waddle, who's interesting. I don't know, man. When you get down here, you're kind of just taking big swings, and the running backs are ugly. I mean, the running backs are just putrid at this point. You got Rashad Penny, Madison. You got handcuffs essentially. I mean,
I mean, it's round 11. You know.
yeah. I think I'm going with a wide receiver. I'm not going with Cole Beasley because I don't know if he's going to play all 17. He hasn't gotten vaccinated. Who knows with him. We got we got Pittman, who's interesting. Dude, all these guys are just like deep threats. Like Marvin Jones, Mike Williams. They all
Christian
feel like
Kirk.
the same. Yeah, like they're gonna get you 30 1 week. You're gonna feel like you can flex them the next week. They're gonna get 3 points. Jameson Crowder just redid his deal, but out of all this, I'm gonna go with how fantasy Twitter works, and I'm gonna draft Darnell Mooney. So the average BMI of my wide receivers is like the
6.
BMI of my wide receivers has to be the lowest in this league because I got Mooney, Smith, Claypool's pretty big, McLaurin's not that big, and Calvin Ridley's not that big. BMI is low on my team.
Yeah. All right. I'm in an interesting spot here. I don't want to get
Yep.
sniped by a quarterback lover like
I hope
Team
you
10
do.
or Team 11 here.
You
So I'm
should.
going to go with a quarterback. It's thin. It's definitely thin at this point. Guys I'm considering are Kirk Cousins and Carson Wentz. And I am pretty much a quarterback streamer in this league. So I'm going to go with probably whoever has like the best like week 1 through 4 matchups, maybe 1 and 2 if I'm already like punting. I'm just going to go with Carson Wentz. I don't know what their schedule is. I do have Jonathan Taylor. Not really thinking about that. I'm just going to go with Carson Wentz. Maybe he's revamped. Maybe he's hot start on that new team. Not too much thought into that pick. I'm not going to break it down too much. There are a lot of tight ends going off the board here. It's making me kind of sweat. I would have liked to get like Mike Williams, Marvin Jones, or Michael Pittman. That would have been nice. We're going to look back to the running back room. Could use another running back. I do have 4. Feel pretty decent about it based on the roster sizes in this league. Just having the 4 running backs like my core. So I don't really need one. I guess we could look at the wide receivers. Cole Beasley. I do like him. Christian Kirk. I like him too. I don't like that they brought in AJ Green. That's kind of crummy. It's pretty thin. You are taking shots here. You're for sure taking shots. And I'm not going to think too much. I'm going to go with Cole Beasley, anti COVID vaxxer, who I completely respect, and that's fine. Like he gets a lot of some crazy internet stories out there. The fact that he has to go on there and defend himself, that's crazy. But he's on my team, and I'm happy. You can come to my locker room. Wear a mask. Just kidding. We're not political. We aren't. We aren't.
Just wear a mask. You're good, Cole. It's fine. But yeah, no. I mean, I'm now just taking pop shots here. This is where you're just taking just a Hail Mary, right?
Yep.
And you might snipe somebody's backup running back. I don't know, man. These guys all stink on ice. I like Kenny Gainwell a little bit. I mean, he could be good as the negative thinker of Miles Sanders. I think Kenny Gainwell is actually going to have a solid year. You got Chuba there. You know, I don't love
Round
him.
12.
Listen, I know, it's around 12. You know what? I'm sniping somebody's backup running back. Whoever took Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm taking the Jet, baby. The Jet's on the
What?
squad.
Sure. He had a
I'm
handful of
taking
games
the
last year
Jet.
where we were taking him and he was a flex starter. He was the guy.
100%. So,
We'll see.
Steve, what position do you need now? Because now this is where, it's fun. Because I thought about taking Matt Breida. That would have been a great time.
There are way too many crummy players for you to snipe me right now. Like,
That's true.
way too
But
many.
I need to get the band back together here. I already have Tyler Higbee. I mean, this guy's going to get cut by preseason week 4. So I'm taking the other tight end that could be a tight end 1 that I'm going to cut too early, and that's Gerald Everett. Bang.
Yes. I like it.
Take Gerald Everett. I've got great tight ends this draft. Find a new slant. This team's great.
All right. Back looking at wide receivers and running backs. Running back, it's really hard to draft anyone from this group. It's just really hard. I could take Marlon Mack. He's kind of a handcuff. And he was pretty good last year before he got injured. But I do have Jonathan Taylor, and that would be just kind of a little punch in the face on my first round pick. Probably just gonna go with Christian Kirk. There's not too much thought into these things. So maybe a Rashad Bateman. I kind of like the rookie. I'm just going to go with Christian Kirk. Ain't much thought here. It's deep. We are throwing darts, and there are educated darts. These are guys that have upside, but that's pretty much what you're getting here late in the draft. So you're getting upside. It's not going to hurt you if you miss. You just drop them and pick someone else up. The most important picks in your draft are probably rounds 1 and 2, and then the middle rounds, those core guys, rounds 3 through 7. And then after that, wouldn't hate you if you start to get your guys that you think can win you the league, because being safe through the whole draft ain't going to win you your league. It's going to get you a nice 3rd, 4th place, which is great. Respect. Whatever. Trying to win, baby. So here are our teams. Go ahead and pause the video if you want. I was team 6. Ryan was team 5. And yeah, drop a comment below on whose team you think is better. Kind of think it's mine, but I was trying to get that smug look. Ryan, show off your Scott Fishbowl shirt. We're both wearing it.
Of course.
Fantasy
The Wu-Tang
Cares.
Scott Fishbowl, baby.
Yeah, we got it. Fantasy Cares. Check out the next video. Subscribe if you like it. Like the video. Drop a comment. Favorite team. We'll see you next time. Peace.